Hi, Annie Murphy. How are you doing? How's your lockdown?
How is it going with you?
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Getting used to the new normal, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. It's a strange time, as they say.
6 weeks out from the end of the show, you play Alexis Rose. How are you feeling about it now?
I'm missing everybody a lot. I think I didn't when we were shooting the last season. I didn't really let myself think about it too much because I didn't want to be just a hysterical pile of mucus on the ground every day. So I kind of pushed it away, and I knew that we had a lot of press and publicity and that kind of thing to do. So it wasn't like a hard goodbye. But then when I watched the last episode, it really, really hit me that it was done. And now, especially with this, we haven't seen each other, and I have felt a real Schitt's Creek shaped hole in my life.
I bet, yeah. I hadn't thought of that in terms of the show ending, but also just in the fact that you can't even go out and see them if you wanted to. Yeah, it's a sort of double hit, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
Have you come to terms with the fact that it's over? I imagine you'd be gearing up to go and shoot another season if in previous years.
Yeah, it is. This is like we would be halfway through shooting a season right now, so it does feel weird not to be seeing those faces that I've grown to love so much. And it's a strange thing to know that like the last 6 years of my life were the best 6 years of my entire life. And so it's weird to be on to a new chapter.
Take me back to the start a little bit. I hear that you'd had some fun of LA pilot season and that your apartment burned down just before you got this role. So pretty good timing on your part.
Yeah. Well, it was just a barrel of laughs. So I hadn't worked in about 2 years. My apartment in Toronto had just burnt down. I had very, very, very little money in the bank. And I had my very first screen test in LA, and I felt, like maybe there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you'll excuse my French, there's no other way to put it, just shat the bed so hard. And so I was like, well, this is it. This is just such a glaringly obvious statement from the universe being like, hun, you gotta do something else. So I decided I wasn't going to act anymore. And literally the next day or day after, I made this big proclamation. I got the audition for Schitt's Creek, and I went in, and I was so stoked because I was like, okay, because on the breakdown it says Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara are attached, and they are my idols. And so I was like, okay, even if I mess this one up too, which I probably will, at least I'll get to meet Eugene Levy, who's the man. So I went in all excited, and I rehearsed, and it was Dan. It was Dan Levy sitting there instead of Eugene. I was like, oh. But I auditioned, and then I got a call from Dan saying that they wanted to see me for the role of Stevie as well. And so I ended up testing for both Alexis and for Stevie. And then after what seemed like years of waiting by the phone, I finally got the call. And it said Eugene Levy on my call display. So I was like, what? And it was Dan. And he just really dangled that carrot for a long time and didn't get to the point until well into the conversation. And then he asked me if I wanted to play his sister on the show. And truly, it was a life-changing moment for me.
And he's been winding you up ever since.
Exactly. We've just been pushing each other's buttons all over the place since then, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
She's a fascinating character because obviously she starts off in one place, and some of her backstories are brilliant and insane. And she grows, which I have to imagine is something that you must have been chuffed about, because she starts off. I've heard you describe her sort of Goldie Hawn meets Lindsay Lohan. This airhead character, but she becomes a lot closer to her family. She develops, which I guess in the comedy world you don't often see. So it sort of must have been a role that you really were able to get your teeth into in some regards.
Yeah, I felt so grateful to the writers for writing such a beautiful arc for this character, because as you said, we meet her and on paper she is just a nightmare. And I think it would have been very easy to fall into the stereotype of blonde rich girl. But the writers were so careful not to allow that to happen. And I think all of the characters come such a long way, but I think Alexis really, she comes in so dependent on men and money and possessions, and having experienced, I think, very, very few genuine relationships. And then when we leave her, she's reliant entirely on herself. And I just am so happy to be able to play like a real range and to see the change in her and to know that, in a hypothetical world going forward, she's going to be way better off than she was when we met her.
Absolutely. And the show itself has got a wonderful story. In starting out, a relatively small Canadian show, and then over the years, helped by Netflix and everything else, that grew into this huge international hit, and seen over here, getting into the Emmys conversation. Again, that doesn't often happen with shows like this, does it? You must be really pleased with the way those 6 years went. So
beyond pleased. No one expected that it would become the show it has become. And because we are so isolated when we're shooting, and it did start out as a small show on the CBC here in Canada. And I think, as I said, you attach Eugene and Catherine to something and it's going to turn to gold. But I think we were also, I was going to say lucky. I don't know if lucky is the word, but I think the world became a kind of a scary place as the show was taking off, or a scarier place as the show was taking off. And I think because the show is something that represents love and inclusivity and kindness, and it's light and loving, I think that it just kind of coincided at the same time when everyone needed all of those things more than ever. So I think that's kind of what boosted the show as much as it did.
Absolutely. And talking of new jobs, you signed up to star in Kevin Can Fuck Himself for AMC, which I imagine if it weren't for this, you'd probably be shooting right about now, wouldn't you?
We would be halfway through shooting now. Yeah. From Schitt to fuck. I feel like I graduated in a way when it comes to swear words. I'm so excited. So excited to start this show. It's very meta. It's really cool. It's from the perspective of a sitcom wife, kind of a downtrodden woman with much higher dreams and hopes and expectations than she's living. And what's really fun about it is that it flips between the world of multicam sitcom and then kind of gritty single cam dramatic stuff. So we're constantly flipping back and forth between those two mediums. And I get to have a Boston accent. Like, it's night and day from Alexis. And so I'm shitting my pants about it, but I'm also really, really excited to get going on something else.
And I've heard you talk about other things that you might like to do, and one of those was a period drama. Have you had any scripts with bonnets and frocks sent your way?
Not one bonnet or a frock thus far, but I've always wanted to, like, I started out in theater and did theater for so much of my growing up, and I was doing like Shakespeare and like I was in Oliver Twist, and that just has always appealed to me so much, because it's just, I feel like done well, you get to kind of time travel yourself. And I'd love to do that. I'd love to go back and do theater again and voice work, and I'm open for business. So whatever anyone wants to send my way, I'm here for it.